and other large increases in the cost of living for most people, this is not the year for large rent increases. Executive Scrutiny recommends that Cabinet looks again at these proposals and considers restricting the rent increase to 2% rather than the proposed 4.1%, as this could lead to many people struggling to pay their rent, increased arrears and possible evictions. Do I have a seconder, please? Thank you very much. Thank you. Right, can I take all those in favour, please show. Those against, please show. Okay, abstentions?
Any abstentions, please?
Abstentions? Okay. Thank you very much for that. Okay. Right. So I'm moving on to
Sorry, Chair. Is that carried then?
Yes.
Oh, thanks.
It is, yeah. Item 14, compliance with contract and financial procedure rules. Who's taking this? Simon, thank you.
Okay, this is the standard report. There are 3 items on here. One in respect of seeking approval to add the Connecting Works programme from Future High Streets Fund, which is primarily to enhance and provide additionality to Market Hall Phase 2, so the Osmonbrook Square, and also the Eastern Gateway, the Osmonbrook Square end, and also the access to the Market Hall from the Guildhall. So the report talks about enhancing the public realm and that connectivity, which is a fundamental part of both our Future High Streets Fund bid and also the Market Hall scheme. The second one is in respect of a low carbon growth fund, and this is, as the report talks about, it's about being able to hopefully bid into the low carbon fund launched by the LEP, which will invest in low carbon projects which deliver an end asset relating to low carbon growth. And we all know the imperative of that has been rehearsed in this chamber significantly for a number of years now. It allows bids of up to 1.5 million, and it will also require us to demonstrate matched funding of up to 50% and start delivery in 2022-23. The criteria is in the report and the timetable is in the report, and the recommendation is that it would be beneficial to the council to bid into this funding round, subject to all the agreements of the bid and the business case attached to that, and it seeks appropriate delegations. And the final area in here is an approval of a contract waiver for public health, and that's to Derby County Community Trust, where public health wish to consolidate our commitments into one contract to seek efficiencies in management costs, provide robust contract management and ensure the delivery of enhanced outcomes. And that relates to the Child Weight Management Programme, Substance Misuse Recovery Support and Criminal Justice Divert Programme. The contract length would be for 1 year with the opportunity to extend. 1 year plus 1 year, so a maximum of 3 years. And the funding is in the public health grant funding here. And I think we all recognise the role of the Derby County Community Trust in these programmes and its effectiveness across the city. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Simon. Any comments from members at all, please? Mike, I'll take you first and then Lucy.
Thank you, Chair. It's just a general comment. In my work on conservation, I've come across some of the work to do with the Guildhall entrance to the Market Hall and the Market Lockup Yard, both of which I think are excellent proposals, and they're detailed in here, and I commend it to members. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that, Mike. Lucy.
Thank you, Chair. I wanted to talk particularly about the Low Carbon Growth Fund, which we've got a really, really tight time frame for this, so I'm not quite sure. You know, there needs to be a I think an email out to all of us as councillors to say, have we got any ideas? And I think it is helpful that there is a £3 million capital pot that's already been put aside for climate change work. But, you know, adding PVs to the roof of the new Beckett-Well Arena is something that we should be doing, but it probably won't fit within this time frame. Are there any of our schools who might have funding within their budgets which they might want to turn into PVs on their roofs or to improve their insulation? Have we asked the schools whether that is the case? Are we allowed to spend it on preparation work, for example, for then putting hydropower schemes on the river up in Darley Abbey or down on the south city border? I don't know if these are schemes that are being looked at already, but maybe some of those are things that we could be doing. But it's also not just available to ourselves. It's also available to other organisations within the city. And although it's had some publicity from D2N2, otherwise we wouldn't know about it, I think we could helpfully ask for more on that. And it may be that there are community organisations or just individuals within the city, small businesses who would have ideas and who would be able to put bids in against this time frame. So, Chair, I'm assuming that officers have heard my 3 suggestions, if they're not already there. And I would suggest that we put in a recommendation to ask Cabinet to publicise this fund.
I'll let Simon respond, and if you can sort of draft a few words and then put it to the meeting, please, Lucy. Simon.
I think Councillor Kerr has pointed out that this is how a lot of the funding is going to come to support the low carbon or net zero agenda, and that this will be, I would imagine, the first of many bidding rounds that we have to go through. The timescale that time frame table that we have, it talks about it's open to local authorities, small and medium-sized businesses and community groups to bid up to 1.5 million. Within that preparation time, I think it's impractical to seek and support, because I think it's important that these organisations have support from the council in helping to develop the proposals. And Councillor Kerr will be aware that I think it's Dr. Chris Bussell helps to chair our climate approach. There's members who are climate champions as part of the climate working group and everything else. So there are a series of ideas and a series of proposals which are already floated. Some have evidence which has already been developed. Some are projects in progress. And if I got to be probably frank, I think at the moment we have to use that conduit to get proposals and expressions of interest in, which is probably what we know at the moment. But picking up Councillor Kerr's point, I think there is something that if this is a funding route that is likely to come both direct from government and through the LEP, we need to be prepared about how we widen the awareness that community groups, businesses can apply for this. I hope that's a bit of a realism check about if we're to succeed in putting in a bid. I think we need to concentrate on what we know now rather than what we don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Simon. Have you got your recommendation almost ready, Lucy? I'll give you another minute or so.
Yeah, Chair, I recognise the challenge, both in terms of this time frame, as I mentioned, but also we are not the only source of information that people can go to for advice, and including the Decarbonise project, which may have some resources separate from this. So I still think we should ask Cabinet to publicise the D2N2 LCG fund to people and businesses in Derby, including through Community Action Derby and business organisations, to encourage more bids for these funds to come from Derby, recognising that while the time frame for this fund is very tight, awareness raising that there may be future bids is also vital. Not yet.
Look, sorry, I don't think I have not thought about this as much as you can, sort of care. So this is just an observation. I cannot see that there's a lot. I mean, I presume this has been publicised already, and I understand where you're coming from. That it is frustrating that we don't get more take up of opportunities like this, which that I would like to see. But I don't think just necessarily. I think making people. I think that last point about making people aware of a fund they could apply for, which is suddenly about to, the deadline's so tight that they can't meet it. I don't think that's likely to encourage people to want to apply for grants. I think it could actually have more of a detrimental effect. So, in the sense that, people think, well, these things come along and you can never have time to respond to them. So I think it could actually be counterproductive. So I'm not quite sure. So basically, I'd sort of support where you're coming from, but I honestly think, if they haven't done the promotion by now, there isn't a lot of point them promoting it excessively. Thanks.
Thanks. I think you've got support from Alison, but it's your route to get there. Okay.
Chair, I just like to say that in the decarbonised project, I think that there are still funds available within the Derby area. I think that's true. And even if this grant isn't available, once people go and start looking at these, they may well find things like that. But also, we don't have to we have people who are experts in communication within the council, and the information doesn't need to go out and say, there's a deadline in a couple of weeks' time and you've got to bid for it. It can go out in other ways and ask people to think about the subject and to prepare and to say, if you have a scheme that's already ready to go, this might be appropriate for you. If you have ideas that you want to talk about, please get that further information, because we expect there to be further bids and opportunities coming, and you may want to be ready when that time comes. It's not a one-size-fits-all bit of communication. It can be tailored.
So you're thinking of a large carrot rather than a big stick? Yeah, okay. So do you have... Alison, do you want to come back in and talk about a very good
point, Councillor Kerr. I think you should get directly onto them and advise them, because so many people are used to receiving from the council, this is what you've got to do it by next week, or you've had it. So just make sure you do give them that advice, I think.
I will if I'm asked.
Chair, I have. I'll read it out. Do we have a seconder for that? Thank you. Thank you. It's to ask Council Cabinet to publicise the D2N2 LCG fund to people and businesses in Derby, including through Community Action Derby and business organisations, to encourage more bids for these funds to come from Derby, recognising that while the time frame for this fund is very tight, awareness raising that there may be future bids is also vital.